Today, my conversation is with Mike Jones, British independent journalist living and working in Russia. He has extensively covered the SMO in Donbass on his numerous trips delivering humanitarian aid. Mike has had his YouTube channel of over 125,000 subscribers deleted and subsequent channels blocked. Hello, Mike, and thank you for joining. The first question for you: how is the USA election race developing, and what changes and attitudes in American society are you noticing?
The American election race is developing very much in Trump's favor, with Biden essentially handing Donald Trump political and media PR victories on a platter. One example has been the State of the Union address, where Marjorie Taylor Greene asked Biden to say Laken Riley's name, and Biden said Lincoln Riley. While this has been incendiary to the American population, given the state of the southern border, which the Trump campaign team has picked on to really amplify their message that Biden is a terrible president, that he is not acting in the interests of the country. And this young 22-year-old, for people who are not aware of the case, a 22-year-old nursing student went out for a jog and was murdered by an illegal immigrant. Subsequently, Biden came out and apologized for calling the murderer an illegal immigrant. So Trump has picked up on this and is capitalizing. He is winning many, if not all, bar one of his nominations in the caucuses. Conversely, Biden has been the first incumbent president in 40 years to lose the caucuses, these nominations for the Democrats. So things are most definitely swinging in Trump's favor, and Biden is proving that he is not the one that is making decisions. He is not in touch with the American people. How out of touch he is with not just the American people, but the nation as a whole. He is betraying the fact that he is essentially a cardboard cutout. It is the people behind him that are making the policy decisions and essentially leading America to ruin.
What are your predictions for the presidential election?
My personal predictions for the outcome of the American elections in November is a resounding, if not landslide, Trump victory. At this point, I don't really see how Trump can lose unless there is some interference by the Biden administration, be it rigging elections or even, as Tucker Carlson has gone so far as to predict, as the assassination of Trump. Ironically, we've seen numerous efforts by the Biden administration to weaponize the law enforcement agencies of the US against his political opponents, namely Donald Trump in this case, with various lawsuits. And we've seen that given the media attention, it has only strengthened Trump. It has only given Trump means to highlight the corruption in America, the abuse of power that Biden is on, the corruption that is going on, how Biden in his State of the Union address has called for everyone to pay their taxes. Meanwhile, Hunter Biden is embroiled in tax evasion cases. And all of this just plays right into Trump's hands and will, in my opinion, lead to Trump's inevitable victory in November when Americans go to vote.
How do you think American sanctions are affecting Russia?
American sanctions have, of course, affected Russia, but not in the economic way that I believe both the EU, or let's say the collective West, had hoped or predicted. It's not brought about economic ruin. It's created opportunities that in many cases Chinese manufacturers have stepped into and filled. When we come to clothing brands, we see not just Chinese manufacturers, but also Indians. Many BRICS countries, or those that work well with BRICS, have stepped in and stepped up and are profiting as a result from this barrage of sanctions. We're now seeing businesses like Raiffeisen Bank, Austrian bank, who refused to completely leave Russia. PepsiCo as well have rebranded to the point where now America, recognizing the failure of their efforts to bring about economic ruin and ultimately regime change, as they call it in Russia, are now threatening secondary sanctions against not just businesses but also countries that assist Russia in their point of view. So overall, the sanctions have been an utter failure.
Is USA ready for a further escalation of relations with China?
American military is absolutely not equipped and cannot cope with such a direct confrontation, despite what the admirals may be saying and the military leaders. We know this as we've seen the absolute calamity that has happened with military stocks being stripped away and expended in Ukraine, for example, where we see all the shortages and indeed the corruption of the money that's ending up mainly, as even US politicians admit, many of these aid packages stay in America and go to the military defense contractors and the industrial complex there. China's production, much like Russia, outstrips the United States, so just physically it's just the country is not prepared. It is not the power that I think it believes it is and was after World War II. They used the words and the bullying tactics against countries that don't conform with their rules-based order, as they call it. Rules for thee but not for me, as I prefer to stylize it. So in my opinion, no, America is absolutely not prepared, ready, and cannot offer really any meaningful opposition to China, despite all the words that they say.
Thank you, Mike, for this short but very interesting conversation.